about tattoos and why we love them, why we hate them, and the magical, mystical, fantastical relationship between a tattoo artist and the person getting tattooed. Now, normally I list off a bunch of really, really exciting and wonderful and sweet things about our guest. But today, I'm just going to say this.
Oh, God.
If you had to go see like a wizard or a dragon or some sort of like mythical being, and
you're really doing this to me right now.
You have a treasure map and you follow it and you go on all the quests and the side quests and you like find the goblet and you free the goblin and you do all the things.
Right.
And your reward is you get knowledge on a mountaintop from McKenna Warde. That is who you are. You are like a legendary friend.
Wow.
You are a legendary artifact. You are a legendary human.
Whew.
McKenna, thank you for being here. Why don't you tell everyone out there in tattoo podcast land a little bit about yourself?
Damn, that was pretty epic. I thought you were going to like make me respond to that, but it was just a compliment, which is good.
It's like the best possible compliment in the world.
It was. That was pretty poetic. I really do appreciate that. My Libra soul is very satisfied by hearing that.
Very good.
I am McKenna. What's up? I work at a museum in Mid-City. It's called the Academy Museum. If you maybe are into film, you probably know what that is and what that means. But yeah, big foodie, big wine lover, big plant lover. Oh, we're counting them now? Okay.
Let's have two more. Because you're naming off
more.
things that I really like and things that I really enjoy.
God, but aren't they like things everybody likes? I'm like, that's boring. I love lore of like place. So Los Angeles being somebody that's from this magical place. Like I've gotten really into that as of late.
Cool.
So historian, I don't know, like let's say that. And the last one, make it a good one. Oh boy. Oh, I'm just gonna say this. New stepmom.
Yes, you are. You're a new stepmom. Let's hear it. I think.
Are you the new stepmom or the mom that stepped up?
Definitely the latter.
My God.
Yeah. He doesn't call me stepmom. It's definitely mom. But I feel like that's a better like. Rather than being like, that's not mine, I just say stepmom because it's easier to like.
Would you be a little bit put off if he just called you McKenna?
He does call me McKenna, and it's jarring. If he's like
sure,
trying
like a
to
little
mess
kid be
with
like
you,
McKenna.
If he's trying to mess with you, no, yeah, he knows that it will like take you through a journey and like have a little pause. Like if he wants that effect, he does that all the time. But I'm also lovingly referred to as zucchini. So any variation of zucchini that you could possibly think of being a word.
Okay.
Even ones that aren't words, he calls me that. So
quickly, before we get to the questions, what is your favorite preparation of the vegetable zucchini?
Oh God, they're making it at home right now, and I'm really actually pissed about it. It's
so what you're saying is you're giving up delicious zucchini to be on my stupid podcast.
Yeah, but guess what? Like this.
Let's hear it from McKenna and zucchini.
Like, this podcast isn't stupid, man. Stop
the
that.
zucchini is like I'm not
Subjective.
getting this big, so like I think there's enough left for me to enjoy it at another time. But they're doing it in like a fried rice situation, which is like all cool and I don't know fusiony. But I like just like an eggplant parm, but like with a zucchini slice. Like what?
Ooh, yeah, I
could
like
be
that.
better?
As an Italian, I like that.
Yeah.
So
baked with the cheese and
exactly,
like
nice mozzarella cheese with some
yeah.
parm on top. A1.
Definitely.
Now, I'm gonna tell a quick story before we get into the questions.
Oh no.
One time, me, my lovely girlfriend Miranda, McKenna, and her dude all went out to dinner.
Oh yeah, we did.
And I learned that McKenna knows a shit ton about art history and art and all these things. And her and I proceeded to talk for roughly an hour like our significant others were not there.
Than that. Probably more than that.
I got in the car and Miranda was like, hey, dog, I love you. But like, if you need to do that, just go to dinner with McKenna. And I was like, but it's not, it's fine. And she's like, I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at her. But
Mad at him.
there were other people at in the conversation, and y'all two were just jabber-jawing about art the whole time. So
I felt like it was like I don't know. It was like an education. Like if somebody was doing that to me and I like didn't know anything about, I don't know, like Formula One racing, and they were like whatever, that was like their life and everything, I'd just be like, chilled out. Like,
yeah, like I want to know.
I want to know. Like give me the details. I will sit through that. But yeah.
Oh well, hey, listen,
We
that's
did
why
do
you're here on the
that.
podcast right now.
Here I am.
Let's get into it. Let's talk about art. Let's talk about tattoos. Let's talk about all the fun stuff. So when you were a little girl, do you feel like you were sensitive to art, or did you feel artistic right away? Was it something that you noticed, or is it something that you grew into?
I definitely was an artistic child. This is gonna be really embarrassing, but I was like really into like dogs growing up, so I had like this book. I don't even know what the company is, but it's like an encyclopedia of like dog breeds, and every page would have like this beautiful like a side profile of like the head and like these little like codexes of like different types of like fur colors that they had, and like it would have like the bone structure like dissected, like this breed has a very like aerodynamic skull because it is like whatever, they're like hunting dogs. And I was like, this is the coolest shit I've ever seen in my fucking life. And I would sit there and like recreate these pictures from the dog encyclopedia.
Why is that embarrassing? That's sick as fuck. Are you crazy? That's
it
so
was
cool.
A dog portraits. Like I'm not joking. Like that's a folder full of those.
I'm not sure why you're embarrassed. I think that's cool. Listen,
Tight as hell.
You had that dog in you before you even knew it.
exactly. McKenna had that dog in her.
Shit was so
And-
fun. It's like horse girl vibes though, but like I don't know.
It's like horse girl vibes, but like less annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with
I
it.
didn't want to say it.
Shout out to all of our horse girls, but honestly, I gotta say, more respect to the dog girls. The girls that just be drawing dogs all day. Now, is this something you did as a little girl or something as like a teen?
A little girl.
A little girl.
Yeah. And I also decided I was like, I think I understood what my, I guess, forte was or strengths were in drawing very quickly. It's kind of like you're either into realism or you're really not. You're
Yes.
a more like, I wouldn't say like cartoon, but line drawings that are more bold. You know, you're not going for like the Mona Lisa. I don't know. Like I knew that I wasn't in that lane. As much as I tried, I don't have the patience for that. So I like did a bunch of my own little like cartoons characters, and I would like, this is wild. I went to Catholic school, so like I don't know how this like idea came into my brain, but like I would sell like bookmarks, like custom bookmarks, and I'd be like, I'll draw whatever character you want, and like hand do it like $1.50, like
That's cool as hell.
like laminate.
Why didn't I think of this?
Entrepreneurial mindset.
Literally.
Yes. Straight up.
I competed against though, because there was these girls that would make like the flower pens, you know, like and they'd be like, "What flower do you want?" But those were like $5, so those were like
That's too much. That's too
top
much money.
tier. I was like, I gotta get the like lower market, like the lower end of the market that's willing to draw, you know,
Yeah.
buy a couple, don't just buy one. I don't know.
So you were obviously a very creative and a very artistic little girl. And I'm sure
Yeah.
in the same way you grew up into be a very creative and artistic teenager because you're a very creative and artistic
God.
adult. Were your parents supportive of it? Was it something where they saw this and they were like, let's feed this? Or were they like, maybe something else?
It's so funny because my dad's quite creative and artistically gifted and like is a beautiful singer. It's so wild to me.
Wait, your dad's a beautiful
Yes.
singer?
Yes.
What kind of music?
Like my dad was listening to everything. Like it wasn't like here's the classic oldies. My dad would listen to whatever was on the radio, whatever I was listening to, anything I threw his way. Like my dad was like a DJ on the side.
That's so
Mind
cool.
you, my dad's like a nurse, but he was like on the weekends I like DJ parties for fun. And him and his friend would like do karaoke. Big karaoke guy. Like this man to this day, weekly, goes down to the local restaurant. Brandon's restaurant, shout out, Upland, California.
Shout out Brandon's. Where's Brandon's restaurant?
On Mountain Avenue in Upland.
Shout
It
out
is
Upland.
a diner, local spot, and this man gets out there, blows everyone out the water. Like I'm not even kidding. So I mean, it's interesting, like for him to be the more like I would say like classic dad, like worked a lot, didn't see him as much. Like he's definitely like the more creative talent.
Mm-hmm.
But my mom like works in obviously like a creative space, but is like totally opposite as far as like personal.
So for her, she like,
Yes.
do you think that she is okay for herself being creative, but not so much for you?
She was always kind of like, I know you're really smart, and if this is like the path, cool, but like maybe let's try something more lucrative. She was very aware of like, you know, people, a lot of her friends, people in the industry, like scraping by, getting by, working job to job. If you're in those spaces, a lot of them are freelance or based upon like people that you know or whatever. And I think she also knew I was kind of like a fuck you, like to social norms. Like I was always kind of just like, I'm doing whatever I want and I'm so sorry. Like I never really cared for like approval of peers. So she was probably like looking out in that regard, which is honestly a serve. Like, thank you so much.
But it's something that I love about you. And like when I first met you and when I was first getting together with Miranda and you and I became friends in that way because you guys lived in the same building. No,
I did not live there.
No, you didn't live in the
girl.
Langham. You were just hanging out.
I might as well have lived there for that summer,
I love
dude.
that. So we met, we became friends. And the fact that you were like a very free spirit, you just like to have fun. You didn't give a fuck about what anybody thought. Like, I feel like I've always really bonded with you over that way and enjoyed like hanging out with you and having conversations with you. And then to add on top of it, I learned that you know a shit ton about like art and art history and all of those things.
Hell yeah.
And that was kind of like, I think what solidified our friendship, and then the tattoos, of course.
Totally.
But so do you think that part of like where you're at now in life and you learning a lot about like art and art history, was that because maybe just that push from your mom where you're like, I'll do something that's a little bit, instead of drawing or painting, I'll go this other direction?
I honestly no. Like I think I got even up to college and was kind of like, I'm gonna be an artiste. I am very devoted to craft and like this is gonna be it in some iteration. And then it kind of got to be something that I realized was so like in the big leagues, it is so constrained. Like I eventually got to college and I was like, all right, I'm gonna write for a living. Did a screenwriting program here in LA and you know, was like on the precipice of graduating and I'd done all these like really awesome internships and it's like, okay, now decide, are we taking that next step? And I gave it a go for, I'm gonna say like 8 months and pitched to probably some of the biggest brands in the world, a la like Mattel and shit for like the Super Bowl, and feeling just like, wow, I mean, yes, I'm a writer, but like I'm also just like your conduit for whatever marketing parameters and like whatever your niche market that you're trying to capture like will want. It's not me. Like it's not actually me.
You don't want to help someone else make a bunch of money.
No. Or I want like stories that I find valuable to hear, to be heard. And like I mean, this was probably the perfect storm, but like yeah, the Mattel one was kind of like the end of it when I got asked to pitch something for the Super Bowl and I like wrote I wrote a little scene, a little commercial where there was like a little boy that had a Barbie and was like watching the Super Bowl with his like dad, and the Barbie had like the uniform, like she had the jersey and whatever. And I just remember like being like, this is it, like this is gonna change the world, like I love this idea. And basically turning that into like my bosses and then being like, we literally like cannot, like that's not acceptable.
Yeah.
And like slowly started falling off like getting those asks anymore. And I was like, well, okay, like let me just be in a space, let me follow a passion where there is none of this to answer to or answer for, whatever. You don't have to explain yourself. Like, so contemporary art vein it came, and I kind of rode that into the sunset.
Did you go straight from the writing into working in museums? Was it like a pretty quick pivot?
Absolutely. Crazy story. I don't even know if I should say
Say it.
Will it affect your occupation?
I'll give the gist of it. How about that?
Okay, yeah, we'll give the round outline of it. How about that?
Sure. I met my like initial, I guess what I would say, like my mentor at the time. She was from Mocha. She'd been working at Mocha and started her own space, contemporary gallery, I guess we could call it, with some friends, and was like looking to grow that into a nonprofit, which is obviously a process. It's a commitment to the bit, if you will. You know, like I think a lot of people are like, you know, coming out of a either academic space or maybe like working at a larger nonprofit, then they want to start their own thing. It's kind of like could go one way or the other. This could be a passion project and could just be like fun and whatever, or it could be like, oh, this is an institution. So they were like going institutional route. I stuck around. I was like just like the most reliable person that they could depend on for everything. Like I learned from the ground up what it takes to curate, what it takes to build a show like with your hands and like no money, and put on galas, and you know, just an increasing level of like the seriousness of that obviously got me to a place where I was able to like work at the LA Philharmonic, and like now here, like it all of that really primed me for understanding what it takes to run an institution that has a almost $60 million budget versus like one that maybe has 200 grand.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
So you kind of did like the trial by fire thing. So instead of like the traditional, I went to school and I went to art history, you know, I did all that stuff. It was more like you got this job and they really got you ready for kind of the big show.
I mean, like I like minored in studio art, so I did a lot of whatever, like the student shows and whatever in college, and I had a job like teaching art as well during college, so it was always kind of there, like an underpinning of that. But that is so much different from like being out in the world and like trying to actually have a successful like new space.
For sure.
So I think I really got lucky. Like just the people that I ended up meeting were fantastic and brilliant, and like one's a curator out in Houston at the Contemporary Museum out there, and one is now has her own, she's director of a space that's in New York City, like killing it. I think the other girl has a space in Miami. So like they've all also evolved in their own right. Like they're still young women, I would say, like early 40s if not late 30s. So you know, they're all killing it, and the space still like lives on in its different iteration with like the new era.
That's so cool.
Crazy.
Yeah. Do you now that you're doing this and now that you have gone from one thing to another, do you look at your career right now and you're like, this is what I want to do, I'm going to stick with this?
Oh, it's so tough. It's really, really tough. I mean, there's obvious benefits to having.
Yeah, your job always sounds so cool. Every time you come in and get tattooed and you like tell me about job stuff, I'm like, oh, lucky.
Absolutely. Like it's absolutely the difference between a well-established or long-running institution. Like the Academy is over 100 years old itself. I don't know, or around that. But that obviously holds so much like cultural weight, as did the LA Phil. Like that one was an absolute trip. Like just all of the connections that I made and like the things that I was able to like work with were just wow, like blew me away.
Did you ever like just go down into the, what is it called, the pit, and just like play a violin really quick? Or did you like bang the cymbals?
I would literally eat lunch. No, I would, in an empty amphitheater, I would go out there at lunch and just sit like, yeah, in the pool circle and just be like, this is a sick life.
That's really fucking cool. Actually,
was sick. Like,
and they would just be like practicing.
Yeah, or I mean, yeah, they had like open practices too. Like people don't know this stuff. Like they're always doing, I mean, if it's not a donor event, like they have just like public practice for, I think it's their jazz nights. So I think it's like Tuesdays or whatever. I mean, maybe this is way different now because of COVID. So maybe look into that.
Yeah, I'm gonna look into this.
But
if I can go to the LA Philharmonic and just like sit down and listen to some jams for free, I'm gonna 100%.
No, you got to play the triangle or something.
I have to play at least one instrument.
Yeah.
Do you think I should play the trombone and be a tromboner? Silence. That joke did not land.
Next question.
I love
Yeah,
the
on to the
French.
next- let's
the
get back to the
French
podcast.
horn. Like the French horn is it though? And am I wrong?
The
Like,
French horn's kind of
that's
sick.
the coolest
And it's like
instrument
twirly.
ever.
Like I like how
Hell
twirly
yeah.
it is. Let's talk
It
about
does look tight. Yeah.
it does look
It's
tight,
tight.
right? Let's talk about tattoos a little bit, and then we're
Okay.
gonna go back to all the fun museum stuff. What were your first tattoos? What were your first tattoo experiences
Oh
like?
boy, my first ones were really. What was I thinking? I was visiting a friend in Isla Vista who she went to UC Santa Barbara, and
Slugs?
Yeah, the banana. No,
Santa
that's Santa
Barbara.
Cruz.
Barbara, not Santa Cruz.
That's
Yeah,
Emily.
not Emily's.
Wait,
Alma.
what is Santa Barbara?
Gauchos?
The Gauchos. Yeah. Why do I know that? The Gauchos.
Because Gaucho Ball. Remember that?
No, what's that?
Gaucho Ball is like a. It's like a
Is that
drinking game. No, it's a drinking game with like the red cups and like it's not the other one.
Beer pong?
It's not beer pong. It's you have a bunch of like cups in a circle and you like bounce the ball once and then if it like hits into one of the cups, then you like drink it and send it to the next person.
Oh, I know.
And you're
what
like
talking
trying to get
about.
through the whole thing.
Where it like stacks and it's a whole round table.
and it
yeah.
stacks up, so it's harder.
I've heard it called Rage Cage.
Yeah.
Oh,
People that go though to UCSB claim that they invented this game and they call it Gaucho Ball.
Gaucho ball. And a gaucho's like a like a
like a
cowboy,
donkey.
right?
Oh, I don't know.
Because aren't they like gaucho pants? Aren't,
Oh,
isn't it like a
yeah.
DJ
Why
Michael
do they-
Miguel is gonna look it up.
I thought it was literally a donkey. That's terrible.
I mean, it makes more sense for them to be the donkeys than
I
like the
don't-
weird cowboys.
No, I think it's what you said.
It's a very
think
odd name.
I
right?
think it's what you
The
said.
gauchos.
Makes me kind of uncomfortable. It's,
You don't like hearing it?
Kind of slurish. It's
Like if you were to the gas
Ooh.
station, someone's like, "You fucking
it's
gaucho."
like a cowboy hat. It looks to be.
It's a hat.
Oh, it's a hat.
They're an
So they're
inanimate
the
object.
hats.
Oh yeah, it's like that. Oh, it's the hat that like Zorro wears.
What?
Oh, it's like the Stevie Ray Vaughan hat.
Oh, it is.
yes.
Now that you think about it, their mascot guy does look like Zorro. I think. Yeah,
Oh.
like that.
Insane logo.
Yeah.
Okay, so UCSB's mascot is the Stevie Ray Vaughns or the Zorros. That's what we've learned today. Okay, so you're at
anyways,
UCSB, you're hanging with Stevie Ray Vaughan, you're gonna
useless
get.
comment about that, but yeah, no. My friend, yeah, I was like, okay, like let's experience this insanity that is your school. They were a major party school. I was like, I'm down. Let's go. Let's do it. Get obliterated, like as we all do when we're 19. or
Totally,
18.
totally.
I think I was 18 still, and. Like we're still drunk the next day. Like this was before Uber, so like my friend was so drunk, like she couldn't like walk home, and I was like, "What do we do?" We like called a taxi,
Okay.
like literally full on taxi. Like what were we doing back then? Kids nowadays have it so much easier.
They don't know
but-
how bad a yellow taxi smells once you get inside of it. It's not
Or
chill.
just praying that they know where you are. Just like I guess they're coming. Crazy, wild. Anyways, no, yeah. So I like the next day was like, what a night, how liberated I feel. I just think like what would seal the deal on this is like a new tattoo. Like it just
Just
let's
getting
do
a
it.
tattoo. Let's do it.
let's do it. And I went to Precious Slut that I think is literally still there.
Wait, the name of the tattoo shop's Precious
Yes.
Slut. God damn, what a sick
Full on.
name.
Fucking tight.
Yeah,
Full on.
if they still are open, they're getting a follow from me on
They're
Instagram today.
I think they are open still. And this man named Jinx that had just so much, like just head to toe, had like the ice cream scoop on the face.
What, are you sure it wasn't Gucci Mane that did your tattoo? Because
That'd be way
I'm
fucking
pretty
cool.
positive.
and she was like, and then Gucci Mane did my first tattoo ever. His first and my first.
Yeah, I did not know what I was getting into, and my like super hungover friend was just like eating like nachos, just like collapsed on the chair like in the corner, and I was like,
In the tattoo
"All right."
shop.
Yeah,
Hell
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
What did you get?
I got this one. I still have it.
Oh, your
It's
Polaroid.
Yeah, my Polaroid. Because I was like, yeah, this was my era when I had started doing a lot of photography, and I was like, it's just so poetic, and like, I'm a visual artist. Like, I love this. I love film, and it's also like in reference to a John Mayer song. Don't kill me. It's a reference to a John Mayer song.
John Mayer's cool. I like John Mayer.
Okay, I thought
John Mayer's tight.
Okay,
He's
okay.
really good at the guitar.
Yeah,
And he's like hooked up with some, or he's like dated some baddies.
But he said so many problematic things. I'm like, could we just not have done that? Like, that'd be
What
so
did, wait, what did he
great.
say?
Does not bear
He
repeating.
wasn't he like dating Taylor Swift when she was like a child, and he was like in his 30s.
Allegedly.
I
I'll
don't
look
know,
into it. Listen, this
man.
isn't a celebrity gossip podcast. John Mayer rips
Right.
at the guitar, and
He does.
And he was on Chappelle's show.
yeah, and McKenna likes him so much that she got a tattoo to commemorate.
Dude, I had his like he has this. I don't even know what album it is, but it's like this black and white portrait where he's like looking over his shoulder, and you just see his like Stevie Ray Vaughan like tat on his arm.
Wait,
and
he
I'm
has
just
a
like-
tattoo?
Yes, he does.
We talked about Stevie Ray Vaughan twice in this
Yes.
podcast today. Hell,
He has his
fucking yeah.
initials tattooed on his arm somewhere. I forget.
Does it say
which one.
SRV?
Yep. Absolutely.
Dude, fuck yeah. Fuck
That's
yeah.
like his
Welcome
like
back to By
idol.
Appointment Only. This is a podcast about Stevie Ray
About
Vaughan.
Stevie Ray Vaughan. We talk about tattoos, but mostly Stevie Ray Vaughan.
I don't know, man.
Do you, outside of that experience, what do you think is your favorite tattoo? Which one do you like the
God,
best?
that's really hard.
Your hand
This
tattoos
one
are
was
really
like pretty
fucking-
special.
Yeah.
The first one.
Yeah. I love your hand tattoos.
I love my tiger too, honestly.
This little trinity you've got going on of like the tiger
I-
we did on you and then your hand tattoos
I
is
get a
really
lot
sick.
of compliments about the tiger, like I'm not gonna lie.
About what a sweet face it has.
Yeah. People really like it.
This is like a completely self-serving and egotistical question, but because you work at the Academy Museum and you be dealing with famous people,
Right.
has a famous person ever complimented my work?
A famous person? I'm not like cool like that. I don't really go to like the premieres and
Just say
stuff.
yes. Just say yes.
Oh, I'm like,
Just-
who's the most
He
famous
needs
person?
this.
Just say yes and then Keanu Reeves and then we'll be
If I had met Keanu Reeves, I think I would have blacked out fully.
Just say yes and Stevie Ray
I
Vaughan.
do.
wait. What happened?
I do own a piece of art by his girlfriend, wife. I don't know if they're married.
Oh,
but
his-
she's an artist.
And she's an architect. She's like a famous
Yeah.
architect. Yeah.
But yeah, she did like this piece of art for this. It was like a charity, like whatever, like a gala for this one of my old jobs, and she was living in Berlin with him while he was shooting, I think John Wick 3. Does that one
Cool.
have Berlin? I don't know.
They're international. They go all over the
Right.
world. Have you
I'm
seen
like,
any of the
who's
John
to
Wick
say?
movies?
I've seen all of them. I just saw the fourth one on the plane to the UK when I just went.
Did you like it?
I fucking loved it.
Wasn't it so good?
I almost I almost literally cried when he had his nunchuck scene because I was like, that must have been so special for him.
Yeah. Also, the thing that like, and this is, I hear, especially like in the shop, people complaining about this.
Yeah.
The scene with him falling down the stairs, and that it's a huge homage to like early film and like
Yeah.
comedy with and like the Marx Brothers stuff and all of that. Like
Yeah.
that's where I was like, this is so cool. I love this that they're doing very, very physical comedy and like a homage to silent film. But everyone's
Totally.
like, that shit's so stupid. He would have broken his ankles, blah, 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 blah. And it was so boring.
Okay.
And
Talking about the end scene almost.
yes.
That
yes,
end
yes.
Yeah.
big old fight scene.
Yes. It's
Mm-hmm.
where they're
Gotcha.
going up the stairs and down the stairs and up
Yes,
the
yes.
It's meant to be like very silent film,
Totally.
like physical comedy.
Yes.
So I like that shit. I like it a lot.
Because
I need
you
to watch the fourth one
understand
again.
film history and you get something out of it more, I don't know, close to your heart than just like, oh, wow, that's,
Why didn't he kill more guys?
yeah.
Yeah. So on the topic of museums, we were just talking about your job. We were talking about the Academy Museum. Do you think when you were like little McKenna, did you spend time in museums and be like, wow, this is really sick? Do you think that maybe that seed could have been planted when you were a little girl, or did it more happen organically as you were an adult?
I had to really think about that because I was like, did I? Like, I don't know. I could have very well, but I think I literally called my mom and talked to her about it too. Because I was
Sick.
like,
I love that you called your mom for this fucking podcast.
she remembers more about my life than any human being, including me. So like, that's the source right there. And she was like, I mean, she answered it I already knew the answer to that. And it was that theater was her world and her life. And that's way more like a central part of my young years. Like she would take me to theater or like live performance, music, stuff like that. I mean, yeah, I'm sure I went to like museums at school and stuff, but it's like, you have to at that age, unless your parents are like super like interested in giving you challenging like subjects for like experiencing art or like whatever, like educational concepts, like let's say like science. There's a lot of like science museums and such, but like if there's no like interactive like child-centric portion of that experience, like it's kind of a hit or miss if they're gonna enjoy that. And I mean, I experience that now because I have a 6-year-old that I take to very challenging shows, and it's like it's not always a hit. It's oftentimes really not a hit, and sometimes he gets scared. So like I can imagine in an older generation also like that if you weren't in the art space, like why would my family be like taking me to something that I was gonna like hate or like not understand, and then they'd have to like explain it or like deal with however I related to it. So yeah, I think that was what was easiest, was like plays and musicals and
So art
concerts.
and design and like at least some level of pageantry and beautiful things were at least being presented to you. But I think it's interesting because
it's it's art, of
Yeah.
course, absolutely. It's not just like a formalized art though that I think a lot of people associate with the word museum, like white walls, presentations on walls in a multi-level space, like
yeah.
you know.
Do you think that, and this is an off-topic question, but again, something that like the tattoos and your big personality and like you like to wear cool clothes and your hair's always dyed fun colors. Do you think that maybe in some way being like having your mom be in theater and those type of arts, do you think that had some sort of effect on your personality?
I'd like to think so. I mean, God, I was singing like Jesus Christ Superstar like off the cassette tape, like in the living room every day for God. I mean, when did that come out? Like the late 90s? I had to have been like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
So definitely that. I mean, I'm also lucky like to have like a lot of queer family members too, which is like, I'm sorry, always a plus in the art department and
100% yes.
in the cultural sphere. Like, and I've, you know, also just gotten so much closer to them and like the history of like queer people in LA, America, whatever, via art as well. So it's just like this, it's definitely your environment and your family members that play a massive role in that. If you can like connect to something that makes you understand other people better, like I think most people crave that. So I ran with it. I was a big theater kid for a really, really long time. Like that was.
You don't say. I could have never guessed that you were a theater kid. Do you think, okay, and this is again like something that is interesting to me with the little one. Do you think that maybe these core memories, the stuff that he's maybe not liking right now, might affect him positively in the future? And he might maybe want to be a filmmaker or be into art?
Absolutely. And it's weird too, because I know it's also just like he sees people that have smart devices and like he understands that like that's a way to like mobily like capture a story. He's obsessed with that. He has like his little like own kids, I don't know, like digital like video camera that he makes his own movies on. I mean, it's all like Transformers versus Godzilla, but it's still very artful. And I mean, he obviously sees dad and me every single day working on visual projects. And you know, I mean, I hope he's very also like loves to please or like make people happy. So he could so easily be an actor and like absolutely kill it. He's the cutest kid on earth, and like he knows exactly like what to say that of something that you've said before that will just make you like just laugh with like the depths of your soul. Like he's so funny and he enjoys that. Like you can see when he like delivers a punchline, he like really like loves to see the smile on your face and like lives for the reaction. So I'm like, hey, go for it.
You might have a little comedian on your hands. You might have the next Pete Davidson living under your roof.
Oh my God.
Making you all kinds of money, being kind of weird. Again, getting a lot of famous chicks like it.
Hooking up with Kim Kardashian. You know?
Yeah.
Taco Bell sponsorships.
Motherfucker. Again, Taco Bell. Pete Davidson out, us in. Please. I'm begging you.
He's already like married to one of the girls at school. I'm like, okay.
Yep. There we go. There you have it, folks. A young Pete Davidson. He's coming up right now. But I feel like a good, you know, that again, it is my opinion. This might be a hot take, but I think to be a comedian is in itself even a form of art. Like I think there's artistry to telling jokes, to being able to tell a story. For me, I'm like 50-50. I can tell a good story. Sometimes I can't, but I feel like comedians, good storytellers 100% of the time.
And you just have to understand like how to connect with people in an ever-changing environment. like that's what's so fascinating to me about like watching people do stand up. And like thank God we live where there's the best of the best people doing it. You
Yes.
could go to comedy 5 nights a week probably and see like amazing comedians doing work, but it's also just such a skill to just understand like, oh, my timing of this time for this crowd, like it hit them at a quiet point and like it didn't get a laugh, so like I need to punch that up earlier or whatever, like just to see like comedians at work because they want that performance, it is a performance, to be like an experience for people is amazing to see.
I agree.
It's amazing to see.
So this is one of my favorite, actually, before we do anything. McKenna was kind enough to bring a bottle of wine tonight.
Oh yeah.
I love wine. I collect wine. Wine's really tight. So I'm going to crack some of this open.
Red.
Have you even tried it yet? Oh, you gotta
Is it
try
good?
it. Yeah,
McKenna
I've
already
had
tried
it.
It's
I know,
good?
I've had
Okay,
it.
cool. One of my favorite questions on this podcast is this. And because you're an artist, because you work in the arts, because you're sensitive to art, we got to talk about it.
Okay.
Art. Is it a bunch of bullshit or not? And are tattoos art or are they something else altogether?
Oh God, that's a really tough.
You can just say yes or no.
No, I got a good answer.
Did you talk to your
kidding
mom
me?
about the answer?
No.
Would you like some more wine?
Sure.
Okay, here. I'm gonna give you some more
No,
wine.
there's a fine line drawn between I think like how eccentric I've gone with art and what my mom can deal with. She's masterful at like, I mean, I think art, like theater is very realistic. Like, let's just say that. So you are copying essentially, mostly it's like period specific pieces. Like, what do they look like in this area of the world at this time? Like that, yes, is artful to like recreate, but there's something different that occurs along the lines of like the type of stuff that I've come to do. And like I really love, like I've come to really appreciate and be a fangirl over drag art, and I like really
Cool.
enjoy.
No, are we talking about the
going to
process
that.
of transforming into a queen or like actual art? Like what?
Is it different?
I mean, listen, I consider it art. I think to transform oneself into another person is extremely artistic.
Absolutely. And just working with a 3D canvas as you do,
It's a whole ass other thing.
it's a whole other ball game. Like, yes, there's manipulation of material in more like formal arts, sure, but you're also like, not only are you working with something unruly and like always changing and always moving and living and breathing, but then that thing also has like a reaction to what you're doing,
yeah.
and you have to like navigate that in infinite interesting ways, because the action that you're doing is like not something particularly pleasant. So it like brings up in people, I don't know, don't you think like it brings up different things in different people? Like there's people that really enjoy and are like elated to have the experience of like pain, and people that aren't. So like then you have this whole journey that you're going on with them.
I would say yes. I think the thing for me, and like without us getting too deep into it, as I've said on this podcast before, and as I've even told you, my favorite thing about tattooing is getting to know the person that I'm working on. And I think that like it's interesting that you bring up all of this, because I guess you were saying the words and I was like, I guess I've never really thought of that before. Like I never
You're
really,
a therapist for sure.
but I like doing it. It's fun to me. So
Yeah.
what I'm taking from all this is that you're saying that doing drag and tattooing are the highest forms of art. Is that
Absolutely.
okay? You heard it here, folks. The highest forms of art.
Absolutely.
Number 1, doing drag. Number 2, tattoos. Everything else, a bunch of bullshit.
Well, it's obviously about you so much because you're creating the art. Like you have a connection to like what you are doing, or if you get to learn something new, like about whatever subject that the person has brought into your life. Like,
For
I
sure.
don't know, you probably enjoyed like looking up the Carey house, and I was like, I want to blast over this tattoo.
Yes.
Yeah, you probably like, I was like, he's gonna like doing this. So that for me, like that back and forth, like that communication is just on an entire other level, as certain art that is very like personal and very like, yes, it might be your expression of how you like view the world. It might have like some subject matter that is very universal, but like if you're like a fine artist and you like your practice is you, like there is such a separation a lot of times, unless it's like, well, I'm gonna make it about like I'm gonna say that it's about what somebody else thinks of my art. It's like, no, you're still like, you made exactly what you wanted. There was no other input from anybody else. It was your interpretation of an idea.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. And like your work is that plus the other end. And it's such this like full world.
McKenna, when I become rich and famous, will you be my manager, and can you tell people that before I enter a room? Can you just say all the things that you just said and then be like, and now Michael Manarino, and everyone will start clapping? That was the most like glowing endorsement of tattoos and my tattooing I think I've ever heard. So thank you.
Well,
that was the best possible answer I could have ever hoped for.
I had to one up the fucking intro, I guess.
I think that you crushed it. You fucking crushed it. Now, speaking of glowing endorsements, let's talk about the Academy Museum a little bit.
Sure.
Is it cool? Do you love it? Is it cool working there? Obviously, we don't want to get you in trouble.
Oh, no.
Has it been fun? Are you liking
Absolutely.
it? Like, is it cool? I love museums.
Uh-huh.
And a funny thing, I mean, it is what it is, but like Miranda, museums aren't really her jam. It's just one of those things where we go separate ways, and that's okay. Either you
Why
are
is
or
that,
you aren't.
though? Do you know why?
How can I put
Is it
this?
intimidating?
You know what? Honestly, I feel like that's kind of a good way because I know so much about it.
Right.
And I've met other women where like we do the thing where we're walking around a museum and I'm like, oh, this is this is that, this is this. And they're like, wow, this is really
Sick.
attractive because you know
Right.
so much about that stuff.
Sure.
For Miranda, she just like, that's cool, man. I like when we were in New York and we went to the Met, she was like, this is beautiful. Like I can appreciate it, but like, I can't do this for more than like an hour and a half. Whereas I'm like, I could be here all fucking day.
Yeah.
Corey, producer Corey?
Yeah, I mean, I fuck with art. I could see where she's coming from, though. Absolutely.
After like an hour and a half, you're like, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, like I'm cool. Like I mean, I can look at cool shit and be like, oh, okay, cool. Like this is gorgeous. But yeah, after a while, I'm like, all right, I'm pretty spent, you know.
When we were at the Met, I was looking at like sculptures from like Mesopotamia, and she's like, my boy,
So cool.
like how many sculptures of titties are we gonna look at? Like
She
it's
just looked at it and was like, that's what's up.
yeah, exactly. She's like, cool. So like we're in New York City, so like there's other like Blair Waldorf stuff to do here other than go to the fucking Met. But in that way, for me, I can imagine walking into the Academy Museum every day and being like, holy shit, I work here. This is
It's
so
crazy.
cool. I work in a fucking museum. How does it feel for you?
Absolutely. It's so crazy. And I'm like very grateful that I get to live this experience because I like learned about the museum even being a concept in like 2014. I think I don't know if I was like home from college and like my mom had some time off and I was like, I want to go to see a show with you. Like what's on right now? LACMA didn't have shit. But then they were like, oh, this costume, like this film costume exhibition to like launch what would then become the Academy Museum, like was coming through town. And like, I was like, oh my God, sounds fantastic. Cause they had like, not only did they have costumes, but they had like all the wigs and like all the jewelry and whatever. And I don't think I'd ever been to such a well curated show that just swept me off my feet, both with just like the intention of how it was organized and the detail, but just also like all the fabrication of like all the mannequins and how they did all these just illusions and presented a textile heavy exhibition. I was just like, this is the coolest thing. I want to work here. I'm going to work here.
So you manifested it. You made it happen.
In the longest, most roundabout way ever, but I guess, yes.
You still did it. Interestingly enough, I went to the same exhibit.
You did?
I did. And I remember my girlfriend at the time leaving and like looking at her being like,
crazy.
that was the coolest fucking thing I've ever been to in my entire life. Like I was so
And some of
taken
the
with it.
wigs were like made out of paper.
Yeah.
That shit was crazy.
That shit was really cool.
It was amazing. No, that changed everything for me. And like to be there now is so weird. Like I fully like admit that. I'm like, yes, this like was something before my like jaded mind took me down this other path where I was like, well, this is all there is for me. Like, here we are.
Killing it. Living your best life.
It's hard work. It's a new museum as things go and things are new. there's so much raw talent and like energy and excitement in the space that it's like it's obviously chaotic, but to be working on the things that I'm working on is just
amazing.
That's
so cool. We talked about this earlier. Your hands being tattooed. I've been working on tattoos. We've been collaborating on tattoos together since I opened 9 Lives and all that fun stuff. So working in a museum, being a woman with like fun colored hair, again, having a big personality, you are very much you and you don't give a fuck. In your experience, have you felt pushback? Do you feel like you work with people like you, or is it like you're a one of one in that space? And do you feel like people take you seriously?
Definitely not in my department. Like, I'll say that. No. My department is all like the cool kids.
Oh,
like, we're
okay,
all the designers. It's all the designers.
Hooray for designers! Yeah. Woo!
We're like the young. We're the young people. We're the one. I mean, yes, there's other young people in other departments, but like, I would say most of them are led by folks that are wearing like a pantsuit to work and like, you know,
DJ Malcolm Miguel Buddha pantsuits.
I'm whatever about him.
You're not a fan of pantsuits?
Not chic, but like there is definitely a difference between like the people that are, I don't know, like in my experience in a museum, like doing the installations and the preparations and like it's all the like exhibition staff and like anybody who does any of the like graphic design or anything. Like those are the young people, those are the tatted people, those are the really like diehard fan people most of the time of like whatever the art is.
I forget too that I met your coworker who had
Jacob,
super cool tattoos, really cool
and
tattoos.
His wife does. She works at the museum too.
Amazing.
They got married. They got married since you met them.
I think the last time I tattooed your other hand, you told me that.
Yeah.
Please give them my congratulations.
Hell yeah.
Do you think that you'll stay at the museum and in a museum space forever? Do you think that, like this is McKenna's future?
At this point, I feel like I mean, there was kind of that moment I just had like in my career of it had been so many years of like, what am I doing this for? Or like, oh, I'm just gonna like, continually like work for whatever I can get hands on. I had that experience of like being a very like viable resource to like a couple of individual like people in the community of Los Angeles that had like very strong connections to the Hollywood Bowl. Like I was working in that collection every single day, digitizing, like looking at all of the amazing programming that had gone through and like all the world events that were happening like through all of this, like how music was such a unifying force in every major like happening in world history since like the early 1900s, you know?
Yeah.
Like, so those experiences like really, I think, solidified for me, like working in like a museum space can be such like a treasured and like valued space to people at like every stage of their lives. Like there's so many instances in which people connect with the arts in just like random life ways. Like I'll give a really good example that like actually brought me to tears, but like I got a phone call when I was in the museum and this lady was like, hey, I'm really sorry. Like I could tell something was wrong. Like I was like, oh my God. And she's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like emotional, but like my mother-in-law passed away or is like going to pass away soon. So like we're kind of like getting stuff together for her funeral. But she like happens to be like in a yodeling group.
Okay.
Like
okay.
In a yodeling group. She's like this, you know, young German woman like in a yodeling group that ended up getting asked to like perform at the Hollywood Bowl for some festival. Like I forget, some type of German festival. And she's like, I know the year. I obviously have her name. And if you could find anything from that time, like this is a story she's told through like our generations of our family that she got to perform there when she was young, whatever. We would love to like include that in like her celebration of life.
Cool.
Because it's such a like core memory for all of her kids, grandkids, whatever, great grandkids. And just, you know, I was able to, through my work that I'd already done, very easily like locate the exact program of the year that she had mentioned. I found her name multiple times and I found pictures of her performing.
How much did you cry when all that came together? Because
so
I would have
much.
quietly sobbed.
So much. And like I think just her even like getting the response, like the email response back for me. Like actually like I emailed her and she was so shocked. I like called her and I was like, you know, like we had that like moment of like you made such a, you know, sad event as it is so much more like peaceful and happy, and like it made us all
really
feel
fucking
good
dope.
about her, like remembering her. And I was just like, oh my God, like who knew, like who knows that sometimes like it can be that big of a ripple effect.
Yeah,
because that's what it
totally.
is. Like it was one small thing in her life, but she like found that to be so like seminal to her that she like shared it with people.
Yeah, that's
and
incredible.
then now her family's like connected to that forever.
Amazing.
Hundreds of stories like that.
Yeah. So it's
You know?
obviously you're loving it. It's working. You're gonna stick
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about your hand tattoo thing, because
Yeah.
I think this is another really important thing, and like part of the podcast is that it's helping people out there better understand why we do what we do with the tattoos and the decisions that we make. So you obviously love your job. You're obviously very passionate about it. You're obviously a hard worker, and you're good at what you do. I know all those things to be true.
Hey.
Was there a catalyst for change that made you say, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna like not even like tattoo my hands a little, I'm gonna fill them up? And do you have any advice for anyone out there that's like knee deep in their profession and is good at what they do, and they're like, you know what, I think it's time, I think I want to tattoo my hands or my neck or my face or whatever, you know, somewhere where there's
God.
no going backwards?
Now you say that, like the face has been a long time one for me, for sure. I don't know, like I think if it's you're reaching a point and there's like that much value in it for you, or like you connect deeply with just what the experience means and your commitment to displaying art, like whether that be your own or like you value collecting other people's work, like both of those are totally valid, like cool things to do with one's life. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like being successful in a creative space has its advantage because there's a lot of ways in which I get allowances that other people might not. Like I don't know many like finance bros that are all
Heavily tattooed and like
tatted
creative and being in a
or-
creative space.
Yeah, like I mean, it's just there are arenas in which that's like not acceptable, or like that's not going to be as easily accepted.
Yeah.
And like I do think that those people still enjoy that type of art, but like maybe they just can't explore things that are like visible parts of the body, like, you know. And I mean, do I think it's a privilege? Absolutely. Do I think it's also still something that's like very intense and like very polarizing to people? Sure, totally. But I don't know, I think I've more than proven like that this is not going to change anything about how much I care about the work that I do, or how good I am at it, or how experienced I am at doing well at it. Like I've only consistently shown that in my career, so I'm just like, I don't care. Like I sure as hell don't care.
I feel like that's very well put, and the fact that you're so good at what you do, and like you use such a good word like allowances. It's almost like the work is done so well, so it's like, well, this is how I am, and this is how I express myself, so you're just gonna have to deal with it. But I think the thing that you said, and I think the thing that's really important for maybe younger people to understand, is that you worked towards that.
Yeah.
And you created a space for yourself where you're like, yo, I'm gonna tattoo my hands, and I'm gonna like heavily tattoo my hands.
Yeah.
Because I'm so good at what I do, and I'm an integral piece of this team. Whereas just showing up with like your neck and your hands or your face, whatever, tattooed, and being like, give me a job, give me a 6-figure salary, give me all of these things. That's not how reality works, and that's not a real thing. But it is what it is. It's fine. Another thing that I wanted to ask you, which I think is important and something we talk about a lot on this show. You are a woman. I'm a man. You are a feminist. You believe strongly in women's values and all of those
Ooh.
fun things.
Oh,
Do you
boy.
think that there's something to be said for some of the division amongst women getting tattooed by men, women having bad experiences? Do you think that it was made easier for you and I because we were friends before? Is it something where women out there should kind of protect themselves, or is it all about being scrupulous and having the information?
You're
What
going
do
to
you
get a
think?
real controversial answer from me. No, it's not going to be controversial. It's just going to be something I don't think you're...
I don't care.
aware
I want an
of?
honest answer.
I don't necessarily like identify as any type of gender at all. So
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
And this is like a new thing that I haven't really like publicized, I'd
Okay.
say, but like, yeah, on my like email signature at work, it's like a she/they situation. But it was so funny. Like I've quietly like just experienced that because I just don't think it's doing anything to prove or disprove any quality that I have and I already possess and people know me as. So I'm just like, it is what it is. But I've truly like, I'm femme presenting, obviously. I'm very femme presenting, but like in my mind, I like never have thought to myself like, oh, this is because I am a girl, or like I can or cannot do blank because I'm this gender, or like other people's genders dictate anything about like what they shouldn't do, or how they should or should act, present, move about the world. It's just like, I mean, dealing in absolutes, I guess, but it's just like, are you like being good to other people? Like, are you pursuing a life that's like bettering others, like in pursuit of your like goals, whatever, like all of that stuff? Like, I'm very just like, are you a good person?
Yeah.
So I don't particularly care for whatever like the other person identifies with the most. Like, rock on, do all of that. But like, I know for a fact, like, you're a good person. Like, you're a fantastic dude. You obviously have a relationship with somebody that like I care about and have a relationship with. Like, you know, that's me. Golden. We're sold on all of that. So I know people have experiences that are very like gender centric, but like I don't think anything that we've ever like spoken about or talked about has ever been very like heavily gendered.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I try to keep it very light in that way. So I think ultimately your stance is, if we'll just say for the sake of argument, you went to go get tattooed by someone and they were being a weirdo, you would just dip.
Oh, absolutely.
Which at the end of the day is kind of good advice, instead of just sitting it out or being subject to their bullshit, just being like, I'm out of here. Fuck off. Like this is a waste of time. It's interesting that we're talking about all this now, because one of the things that I wanted to, and I was telling DJ Michael Miguel about this earlier while I was tattooing him. DJ Michael Miguel got his first Michael Manarino tattoo today. Whoop, whoop. It was a lot of fun.
One?
From him.
From me.
Aww.
It's a portrait of his doggo.
Yeah.
In the style of a Hanya mask.
It's really cool.
Tell everyone out there in podcast land about your crazy silent retreat, because I think this is like one of the most interesting things I've ever heard about in my entire life.
Please do.
Oh, it was such a trip. I really enjoyed it. I used to meditate very heavily, like to an obsessive degree. I would like meditate for like over an hour at a time. Like, I was real heavy into it. I think I just lived with like people that were very like yoga, mystic, whatever. We had crystals all over the house. It was the vibe of my house in North Hills with the sick ass pool that we lived in. I lived there like during the pandemic too for a bit. So I had that kind of like spiritual awakening, so to say, with like meditation, mindfulness, yoga, etc. And this was like me taking that to the next level after I'd felt like I got back to work and I was like going back to regular life after the pandemic, and I was like, I don't have time to like just sunbathe and swim and like stretch outside and meditate and shit. Like, oh, I have to go to work. And I like stopped doing this thing that I felt very connected to. And I was like, all right, time to change all that. I think I just started working at the academy. Yeah, I had. And I was going to go visit my brother because his wife was pregnant and like about to have their baby. And I also had friends working on like this cool art project in New York City. And I was like, they're all in New York. Like, something can happen here. And I was like, why not have a spiritual, like, insane experience in the middle of that? So I knew I wanted it to be like very traditional. I like went to a monastery in upstate New York, and it's totally 100% like no talking, no phone, no electronics, no like not even like writing really. Like, if you had to write something to talk to somebody, like sure, but like,
but they didn't want you to like write
don't
a
like
novel
journal
or anything.
or like it was all about like I meditated for like more than half the day, like at least 10 to 12 hours.
That's so wild.
In chunks, but like And it was not only about like sitting and having the meditative like sessions where you're like whatever crisscrossed on the floor, and it's sometimes they had whatever gongs, or sometimes it was like a lead meditation, like the head monk would like whatever every morning he would do like a spoken word while you were doing your meditation. But then it was like every other waking moment of your day was also like a meditative experience. So the way that you walk, the way that you like eat, the way that you just move about the entire like grounds, and it was just like this beautiful like oasis of like forest and stuff. And we did like a shit ton of walking meditations outside, and just like total just trees as far as you can see, the most beautiful green trees, and like moss on the floor. Like I'm not kidding, I sat in the forest for like hours at a time. Like
How long did you go without actually speaking?
10 days, 11 days.
11 days.
Yeah.
Was it, you and I have talked about this, you could come back in and you were saying you had kind of mixed feelings about it, but ultimately, since you spent a little bit more time away from it, was it a good experience, and would you recommend it to someone else? Not me. There's no way I could go 10 days without talking, but
You never shut the fuck up.
hey, listen,
Or journaling.
I know. Listen, fellas, you're right. I couldn't do it. I wouldn't make it one day.
What?
I could tell that everybody was at a very different space. Like it was very moving. It was very special. Like I could tell a lot about these people even from never saying words to them, just like existing in space around them, even like sometimes feeling just like the strength of like their energy, or like how stoic that they were able to like remain, and how like even breathed or like even paced they're able to remain. Like I definitely like awakened to senses that had not been paid any mind for a very long time, but it also like really, really, really challenged my resolve, like not being in an extremely regular, like long format meditative routine. That was like horrors of the mind. Every horror, every like thing you've ever thought of that gave you anxiety about anything ever, like hit me while I'm trying to like empty my mind of all thoughts.
That sounds
Like-
horrible. But you're
9 out of 10 would not recommend.
yeah, that sounds so gnarly.
And you
but
just
you're
have
here?
to sit there and just be like, it's not real. Like, it's not real.
What was the word, or did you make a sound after the 10 or 11 days?
No. Oh, we all at the end there was like a what are they, crystal bowl? Like the head monk like performed like a crystal bowl performance, and I think at one point we all were like harmonizing with it. Or no, like there's prayers. Like we did a prayer. They actually like I am theoretically now Buddhist. Like they kind of like they talked me into it. What can I say?
They coerced you into it.
They
Not
jumped her
even
in.
that. Not even
they
that.
jumped her in with silence.
No, like there's really honestly like 4 tenets of Buddhism, and I was like, I'm cool with all of these, but like I drink alcohol, so I don't know what to do. And I said that straight up. I was like, I'm not gonna like stop doing that. So I don't think I should like be baptized, whatever. I don't know what it's called. And he was like, oh, I mean, that's fine. Like if you just don't believe that one, like we don't do that one.
Just brush that one under. It's cool.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was
like,
like,
it's cool. We're chill
I was
here.
like, wait, really? He's like, I mean, yeah, like if this is what you want, like I'm not gonna stop you. Like I'm not gonna just be like, yeah, you don't drink, you can't drink, you're gonna
No one's
whatever.
gonna beat you up over this.
I was like, oh, okay, word. And like, you know, never heard that from like a religious figure ever. So I was like, you know
Truly.
what? Sick.
It's funny in my head. I imagine like very in the style of a movie, you going all this time without speaking, and you're like, you finally get to leave, and you've like not said any words, and then you go to like pick up your bag, and the strap breaks, and you're just like, fuck.
I don't know if this is cooler, but I ended up like some of us were going back to the city, right? And some people lived or like drove. I was like so jealous of the people that drove there. I was like, you just get to like drive home now? Like you're just like up the road. Like, okay, cool. I'm literally across the country. No, but this dude that I ended up riding back to New York City with 2 dudes. They were super, super cool. But like it was kind of weird because it was a very gendered, like, what do they call it? It's not a dojo, but it's like where the main hall where we all
I like
meditated.
dojo. Dojo sounds really cool.
I am not saying the right word. But they had separate entrances for like men and women. So I like just had to be like, I'm a girl today, like whatever. Like I'm just not gonna like make that a thing. I was just like, it's fine. But like, yeah, I don't think I connected obviously as well with the men because like even at mealtime, like we were in like separate sides of the buildings and we like ate like far away from them. Like it's not like I didn't interact with them ever. Like yes, like group like walking, like they were with us, but like I didn't think I knew as much about them. So I was like, all right, like let's get into like what's y'all's story. And like one of them was like an astrophysicist, like studying for his PhD. And then he was like, well, like this is what I do. He was like this Brazilian guy that like knew Chinese and like whatever, had the most amazing life and story. And this other dude that like went to Georgetown's in New York, right? Georgetown.
Producer Corey is Georgetown College in
New York. Yeah,
New York.
It is.
I know that they're the Hoyas. I know that is their
I know
mascot.
it is because that's where the priest in The Exorcist
lives.
Washington D.C.
It's in D.C.
Wait, what? Okay, never mind.
And a Hoya, their logo is a dog, a nice chubby bulldog.
So not Stevie Ray Vaughan.
No, it is not a Stevie Ray Vaughan like UCSB. So anyone that's listening to this, it's obviously very easy to tell that you are. Yes, there it is, the Hoyas.
Wow.
That shit is mad cute, bro.
Right? It's a really. I
It
used to
looks
have
like
a hat very similar to that when I was a
Aw.
kid. Anyone listening to this, watching this, whatever, knows that you are a very creative. You are a very unique and very special soul. One of the last things I'm going to ask you here today, and
boy.
you and your partner are another one of my favorite couples ever. I think that you
Aw.
two make this wild, unique, interesting, artistic collage ball thing that I'd love to hear about. For anyone that's out there that is maybe getting a little bit frustrated with the fact that they're single and they're not finding someone that's like them and meeting their energy and isn't as unique as they are, someone like yourself that's on the other end, you found someone that's equally interesting and artistic and is into all the same things that you're into for the most part. Do you think there's something to be said for that? Is it important? Should you just wait it out until you find the right person, or did you two just kind of meet by luck?
Oh, I mean, I think it's always going to come at some time, but that time is largely dependent on your receptiveness to like energy that is good for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I definitely had to grow that relationship not only with myself, like a really strong relationship with like caring about my future, like what I have available to me as I grow old, like what kind of things I want to experience. Like you have to be like receptive to allowing that to be like real.
Yeah.
Some people like don't think that they deserve certain things, or like they're so afraid of the potentiality of like something not working that they like do all these crazy things in their head to sabotage that. I mean, totally normal. I get it. We've all been there. I've been to the depths of despair and back, like to really feel and experience like all the amazing things that I do now openly and like very joyfully. But it's got to happen some way. And if I can, in that process, impart any type of like, knowledge or advice, I do this with Jackson all the time. Like, I'm just very honest about how unique a person's situation can be and like different things that happen to people when they're young or whatever, at any like traumatic event of any sort or anything that's really impactful. A particular moment can change the course of someone's like entire life or how they view relationships or people. So like, I mean, he has been unfortunately like a person that at a very young age has had to deal with his parents separating. So like I find that very important to explain to him now, like what that is and like why that is and what happens and what my relationship is with his father, because he, number one, like deserves to know that, but number two, I think it'll make him such an emotionally like intelligent young person and then adult.
Totally.
Like, why would I not? you know?
Yeah.
And there's no taboo around like life happens to people. Like, let's not like not talk about it or like hide away things that are quote unquote shameful.
Have you listened to and it's okay if you say no. Have you listened to other episodes of this podcast?
Yes.
Do you know that it is slowly becoming divorce? It is a very, very hurtful thing, the podcast. We be talking about divorce every single episode.
Really?
I mean,
Oy.
maybe birds of a feather, but we be talking about divorce a lot. I'm grateful for it. It gives people a space to say the things that need to be said. I'm a child of divorced parents, but
Yeah.
what you're doing is great. Yeah.
Well, they're not. They never got married, so let's just. He lucked out.
And you are a great mom, stepmom, whatever it is that we want to call it.
Mom that stepped up.
Yeah, the mom that stepped up, straight up. You're doing a great job. Before we get to your mystery question,
Oh my god.
number one, I just want to say thank you for being here. I'm so glad we got to do this. I feel like every time that I tattoo you, we just do this. It's just getting recorded this time.
Yeah,
Is there anything
that's fair.
art, exhibits, music, TV, bottles of wine, anything that you're really fucking with, anything that's inspiring you, anything that you've seen where you're like, this is really, really moving me, making me feel like I want to create, making me feel like I got to take the little one to a museum, anything at all?
I had a great time. I mean, there wasn't a lot going on in the UK when I was over there, and I like was moving cities, of course, like on weekdays. So I was just missing any opportunity of shred of like a nightlife or like performance or whatever. So like I took it where I could get it, but like I saw a fantastic show at the Tate Modern that was Hilma af Klint and Piet Mondrian, who are contemporaries like theoretically, but like don't converge like in practice really. But it was like that juxtaposition of like how their form was like influenced by like nature and like ecological forms. It was really, really, really fucking cool. I mean, not only just do I think Hilma is like a revolutionary historical like person, like she's God, if I like was that informed about art, like for the day where you have to like be a famous person, I would have not been Eleanor Roosevelt. I would have fucking been Hilma af Klint. So that was like really like that was something I was looking forward to for a long time. Like to be able to see a like body of her work that large, I was like, oh shit, I got lucky. And I also saw Men I Trust live in Bristol. Oh, it was so good.
Yo, I'm fucking jealous. I love that band.
Men I Trust.
Shout out Men I Trust. You're
Shout
never going to hear this,
out.
but you make fucking fantastic music. Billy Toppy. I love that song. And I
It's
just like to
such a
say
good
Billy Toppy.
song. It's such a good song.
That's the name of the song, Billy Toppy.
Sounds sight.
Yep. Listen, hey dog,
Absolutely.
you know what? It's fine.
It sounds sight.
You said earlier that you're fucking with the new Travis Scott album, and that
I am.
you can talk
Okay.
shit on Men I Trust all you want as long as we.
I've literally never heard it, so I can't talk shit about
It's low key good.
Spotify
It's
that
like
shit.
it's like indie pop.
Yeah.
it. Oh, like, I'm going to say something and you're going to get so mad. Is it like the 1975?
No.
No, way better, way better.
Yeah.
Like,
They're Canadian, so think very like.
What's an adjacent
slow-
band?
They say thank you a lot.
do
Eh,
damn.
sorry.
Do you like Crumb?
What?
Have you heard
Crumb.
Crumb before?
Crumb, no.
Yeah. Personally.
What's another? Oh, Beach House.
Yes.
Adjacent,
but more rock.
but more
very
like poppy and
grunge.
fun.
Okay.
Just listen to Billy Toppy on your way home,
I will.
or
That's
finish.
their most upbeat song, I think. They.
But I feel like you'll like it. The OG stuff. It's whatever. This is not the Men I Trust podcast. Shout out Men I Trust.
I also wanted to ask: are we excited about Corner Office with John Hamm, the movie? I'm so excited.
Yeah, you know what? Okay, here's the thing. Because I
Okay.
saw like Confess Fletch.
Okay.
I just like John Hamm.
I love John Hamm.
I think he's an attractive man. I was a big
Yeah.
I almost said Madman fan. I like John Hamm. So
Love
honestly,
John
I'm gonna
Hamm.
see it.
He's a big
kooky.
St. Louis Blues guy.
Really?
Yeah, he loves hockey. He's
He
been on
used
like
to play
a lot
baseball.
of hockey podcasts.
When I lived in like mid city, he used to play like men's adult like baseball league at the fucking like
Really?
yeah the park. I'd walk circles around this park because I was like I'm healthy. I'm like walking, and yeah, I just walk around like John Hamm playing baseball.
Corey,
It was awesome.
one-on-one. What is the horse version of hockey?
I don't know, like
Just
a
one on
shootout.
a shoot. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
You versus John Hamm.
Probably Probably John Hamm.
John Hamm.
Your best day, his worst day.
Oh, probably John Hamm.
Still
for
John
sure.
Hamm?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
You always try to put me up against people and shit that like are definitely gonna beat me. In
He's
the thing
like
you put
pretty
me up against.
athletic, I feel like.
Corey's athletic.
I don't know.
Yeah, I can do shit.
Listen, I've learned through this podcast that you can beat John Hamm in a shootout, and you can beat Braun in a game of, what was it? Him to 100 and you to 10.
Me to like 5 or something.
I love that question so much. Well, McKenna, thank you for being here. Thank you for bringing wine. This wine's really good, by the way. But it was like a big warm blanket around my shoulders. I have been sweating this entire time.
Ooh.
But whatever, it's all good.
Sorry about that.
Thank you for being here. It's been so nice talking with you. Shout out the Academy Museum. Shout out Men I Trust. Shout out McKenna.
Solar Punk Farmer. Oh man.
I know.
Andreas.
I know. If there's anything that you'd like to shout out, say.
Shout out Stevie Ray Vaughan.
out
How could I
Stevie
forget?
Ray Vaughan.
Shout out Stevie Ray Vaughan and the UCSB Gauchos.
UCSB Gauchos.
If
Shout out
there's any-
Precious Slut.
McKenna's crushing it with these side shout outs. Would you, if people want to follow you on Instagram, they want to come visit you at the Academy Museum, they want to shake your hand, they want to meditate and talk about Buddhism with you.
Come to
How can
LA
people-
Breakfast Club. How about that one?
What
That's
is
another
that?
big one. What's that? Wait, do you know what that is?
No clue.
None of us know what that
The
is.
LA Breakfast Club is 100-year-old, almost. I think they're close. Institution that started off. It's every week on Wednesday mornings in Griffith Park. There's like a little it's called Friendship Auditorium. But this started off as being like a breakfast that equestrians that rode around Griffith Park would do every week with each other to kind of like whatever talk about the news of like. It was right when they were settling like in Los Angeles, so it
Okay.
became like a gathering place or like a salon, I guess we could say, of like all of like the artists, all of the film people, all of like the government like folks that would come through, even like past presidents like would come by and be like, we went to the LA Breakfast Club. But it's essentially just like a place to convene, have a beautiful like catered breakfast, and usually like there's some topic of whatever, like they'll talk about somebody like wrote a new book about, I don't know, like places in the world where people like there's the next guy coming is this guy that makes balloon animals, but then he goes and like photographs them in unconventional places like around the world.
What? I can do. Do you want to go do this?
It sounds sick.
How's the food?
But fucking amazing. Like the
Is it
breakfast
vegan?
is
Do they have
amazing.
vegan stuff for Corey?
They have some stuff. I mean, but it's definitely like ham and eggs and like bacon.
I mean, I'm not against it.
Can we do a pod? Oh my God, a podcast trip to go do that?
honestly,
Will that be our
please
first
come.
podcast trip?
Yeah, I'm down.
I've
And
been
it's-
thinking about what our podcast.
But
trip's
there's
gonna
like
be.
rituals and there's like
Rituals?
songs, but it's all very silly, campy, like
Sing
breakfast
songs.
related, like breakfast related
Songs?
rituals.
Okay,
They like
1 to 10. Okay, on the 1 to 10 scale, how corny is it? Like 10 being the corniest thing ever, 1 being not at all.
but like corny in the best way possible. Like corny
That's a
where
fucking
you
10.
leave
That's a 10.
a 10.
That's a
That's
10.
like a 12. But like
She was
it's
like, well, but it's corny in a good way. That means it's
like
fucking
you
corny.
leave so energized and so happy and like talking to the coolest people you will ever like talk to in your life.
They're gonna
It's
like bring somebody in and be
amazing.
like, "All right, guys, today we're gonna dissect the new Travis Scott record."
I'm like, yes, this is my day.
Okay, no,
Best weekend ever.
not joking. Like 2 times ago when I came, John C. Reilly just randomly sits down like right next to me.
That's pretty fucking sick.
And,
Catalan
like
wine mixer.
it was
Mhm.
fucking awesome. Like I was just like, this is a place for people to be silly, goofy, funny. We're all just like making jokes about fucking like eggs and ham and bacon.
And it's called the LA Breakfast Club, and it's every
Yes.
Wednesday in Griffith
Every-
Park at the Friendship Auditorium.
Yes.
Okay, fellas, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do some recon. I'm gonna pray that McKenna's there, because if I pull up and she's
I'm
not,
coming this Wednesday, August 2nd.
okay, I'm gonna go. I'm 100%
Are you
gonna
gonna
go.
go?
What time is it?
It's early.
Like 6?
7.
Oh, I get up at 6 anyways.
Okay, great. Perfect. You're going to be so excited. Oh, you're going to love this.
I just felt my self and my soul get locked into this and instantly
Andreas is
regretted it.
No. Andres is
just like,
coming.
motherfuck.
He's gonna be laying in bed on Tuesday night, like, "Fuck."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my alarm's gonna go off at 5:45, and I'm just gonna be like, God damn it, Breakfast Club.
We're going to be so well rested and feel so great.
How much is it?
You said so
It's like-
rested or arrested?
Well rested.
Well rested.
I was like, damn.
You feel arrested.
Arresting the tattoo guy.
We are going to lock you the fuck up.
How much
It's
is
like
it?
$20.
I'm fucking there. I'm gonna be texting you guys crazy pictures.
It's so fun.
Okay.
I've been chairman of the day, and they like get you like sit at like this fancy table at the front, and you like get to tell like jokes. They're like literally one-liner jokes about breakfast.
Michael has a new life goal now.
You said
I
it, and
wanna
I
be
was like,
chairman of
okay,
the day.
I want to do this. I want to be chairman of the day.
Fun.
Do a lot of people go, or is this like a if you know,
Yes.
you know thing?
It's a well-known thing that exists, but like I would say it attracts a lot of people that are like either longtime LA residents. There's a lot of people that have lived in LA for a very long time, or they're people that are like interested in like different historical like societies or movements. Like some people really like architecture, some people really like the bar scenes. Like I went to this one that was like a guy that had a collection of bar napkins from like, I mean, LA and California centric, but also like other seminal bars like across the United States. And he's like, this is not something that people do. Like this is not such a niche subject.
Yeah.
But it tells a story of like these massive cities and like the different like bar movements and places that don't exist anymore. Like he has like bar napkins from, and
But I'm a fucking weirdo, and that's the kind of shit that I
coolest
like.
thing
Like
ever.
I would run here to tell people that I
It's
saw
so
an
cool.
old collection of bar napkins. So that's
It's
a very Michael
It's
thing.
like
fascinating.
sick.
Yeah. Okay.
And
That's what's up.
Yeah. Do you think I'd
Take a
give a damn that's
picture.
crazy? Damn, that's crazy. We'll see.
Damn,
Okay.
that's crazy.
Damn, that's crazy. You want to see this new Pokemon card I bought over here?
Yeah, I'm
Hell
like, I
yeah.
bought a $90 Lickitung Pokemon card. Do you want to see it?
Yes.
Well, I'm gonna report. Okay, so on my honor as a podcaster,
Oh, you're really putting
Oh,
this in
that
recording.
really got DJ Michael Miguel. That he is over here having a full blown meltdown. Me taking a guy with a bunch of bar napkins to my car to show him a Pokemon card.
It's like not even that rare. It's a $90 Lickitung, and you're like, check this out.
And then we will have given each other back to back. Damn, that's crazies. And then he would look at. I would like open the paper bag, and he'd be like, "Damn, that's crazy." And
Wait,
then,
what's the other one that's not Pokemon, but like if you get the packs of it, is it Digimon?
Corey?
like, people
Producer
that-
Corey?
There's a lot. There's Digimon. There's Magic. There's
Magic's-
One Piece. Like
Magic's crazy too.
there's a lot.
Yeah, I like Magic.
Lord Kana's about to be a thing.
But
now.
Digimon only has like 5 series.
I don't know too much about Digimon.
I don't know either.
I'm a big.
I was
Pokemon
just
guy.
saying.
Producer Corey's a
words.
professional Pokemon player.
I don't know if I'm
Oh.
professional, but I'm a competitive. Pokemon
Okay,
player,
semi-professional. Will
You
you?
bet like
sure,
money on
sure.
it? Like what?
I've made like. I mean, I don't really have to pay to play the game.
Well, no.
He competed in a
but
tournament
do
where the
you-
ground prize was what was it, 50K?
10 grand or
10K.
something like that. Yeah.
That's
Wait,
walking around
what?
money. Yeah.
you got a sash.
Did not get a sash, but
Did
yeah.
you get a sash? What did you get? A T-shirt?
Got to hang out in Fresno for 2 days. That was cool. No,
Oh, okay.
no, but went to Portland. It was cool. I mean, like just hung out. And
It's
played
a,
Pokemon,
I don't know why
chilled.
he's so bashful about it. Like it's a cool ass
Oh, it's
thing.
cool. I like it. I mean, like it's not. The thing is like, I think a lot of people would see it as a weird like hobby, but like, dude, compared to some of this other weird ass shit that people do, like honestly, it's pretty fucking normal. Like,
Bronies?
I agree. Okay, McKenna, let's get to your mystery question. Let's get to the fun stuff.
Okay.
Okay, this one is not as like salacious or ridiculous or insane as the other ones, but it just makes sense.
Salacious.
Oh, I love that
Okay.
word, salacious. No.
I got it. No, I'm just kidding.
Can you spell salacious?
Don't make me.
You said I got it
I
and then said don't
got
make
it in
me.
my mind.
Wait. Let me look it up really quick.
S-A-L-A-C-I-O-U-S.
Ready? All right. No. Don't even look it up.
I
Give
said
your
it
best
already.
try.
Okay,
S?
salacious.
Oh, okay.
S-O.
Nope.
Nope. S-A-L-A-C-I-O-U-S.
Yep.
Salacious.
Can you
There
give us
you
a
go.
Didn't
definition?
that sound like a spelling bee?
Yes, it did. Can you give us a
Awesome.
definition so that people know what
Like
salacious means?
scandalous, like a topic that's risque or whatever.
I'm gonna say something controversial right now. I
What is the
think
origin?
Or damning, or like damning, like, oh, that's salacious. I don't know.
probably our highest IQ on this podcast. I think.
Stop.
Yeah, for sure.
God, you just shit
Who's
on
giving her-
everyone
who's
else.
Giving her a fucking run for money, Robbie the bartender. Like,
Okay, then it's
it's
official.
between her, Robbie the bartender, or Robbie the drummer. Which one is it, everybody?
My
McKenna,
name's way cooler.
head and shoulders above the rest. Well, congratulations. You officially have the by appointment only podcast highest IQ guest
Fuck
award.
Yeah.
This is
Can
going to
we
be
put
a
like
new...
an infographic on the screen that like says that? That'd
Producer
be great.
Corey?
No.
In post.
You're like, absolutely not. Okay, well, congratulations. This is
Oh,
your
God.
prize. Here's your question.
Okay.
You work at the Academy Museum, okay? And let's just say in another universe, you've been working your ass off, you've been doing the thing, you're doing a lot of hard work, and one day you go into, I guess, your boss's office?
Sure.
And they're like, yo, like, we have had some accusations, some stuff's happened.
Oh,
no.
God.
Corey, you gonna be okay?
Yeah, chill.
And unfortunately, we have to let you go. And you're not going to get a severance package. You're not going to get anything. You're
What did
going to
I
get your
do?
ass out the fucking door.
Badass accusations.
And you
Oh,
know,
it couldn't be worse than my boss that already got fired.
I know, but we're not going to get into that stuff. We're not going to get into that crazy drama.
No.
We had to bleep out stuff last week, so let's not do
Nah,
it this
I'm
week.
good.
At any rate, you're like, fuck you guys. This is fucking bullshit. Whatever.
Okay.
In the style of the Mona Lisa, you decide that you're going to steal one thing from the Academy Museum and not tell anyone about it. You're just going to keep it like in your closet in a box. And every now and again, you're going to open the box and be like, I got you,
Ooh.
motherfuckers. And then close the box again. What is the thing that you would steal from the Academy Museum on the day that you got fired?
Okay, so it can't be anything, obviously, that's like in the exhibitions because they would know.
Well, let's just say that like they don't know, though. You can have
How
whatever
would
you
they
want.
not know?
Because you know the ins and outs. You know like how to turn off the lights really quick and then it's gone or something.
Turn off the like, cut the power. Like
Exactly.
I cut the line to the.
Listen, McKenna, you work there, not me.
Mission
you know how to do this
Impossible,
stuff.
though.
Yo, it's a hypothetical.
Yeah, this isn't actually going to happen.
No, I was trying to be really practical at my decision because I wanted to like keep it forever. So I was like, you
But
know.
you can have it both ways. You can be impractical and keep it forever.
Then that's perfect, fantastic, great. It's gonna be very, very embarrassing, but I love it. There's the Uma Thurming's wig from Batman.
Sick. It's Poison Ivy.
1990, yes. 1999. Yeah, that's a good one.
They just played it at the New Beverly.
I was obsessed with that hair when I was however fucking old when that came out. Very, very small. And my mom, I was like, Mom, you're a hairdresser. Like, you need to do this on me. Like, I need that. Don't know how you do it. Don't care. Just do it. And just like an obsession from there on. Like, hair is fascinating to me. I obviously get that from like paying attention to hair because of my mom. But how fascinating that every era of like human history has had like defining styles of how you do your hair.
It's kind of crazy when you think about it.
It's so fucking
We just haven't had one hairstyle forever.
wild.
It's constantly changing.
Yeah, and like just how then imaginative that can be when it's like essentially what a comic book turns to a film. Like how like blew me away, and I found out that they acquired that piece. I think they acquire and they own it now, but they were swapping it like into one of the galleries that's like costume and hair pieces, and I was like, this is literally like the best day of my life. Like,
Yeah.
I would steal that wig in a millisecond.
Would you
Like,
be tempted to put it on?
Yes.
So you would put it on?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know if it's like made for her head, like maybe, because sometimes they are like they'll do a whole cast of someone's like entire head.
Yeah.
We have like Robin Williams with like the Mrs. Doubtfire hair, and like that's like made to his head shape.
Sick. That's really fucked up. I need to go to the Academy Museum.
It's always so many casts of like so many super famous people.
Do you think it would be? Would you be tempted to show people? Like, would you be tempted to show your mom? Be like, yo,
yeah.
look at what I saw.
I would have
museum.
to tell her. I would have to tell her. Yeah, that's a requirement. Otherwise, no one's gonna get it.
And
Who's
you'd keep
gonna
it
get
forever.
it?
You wouldn't be like,
Yeah.
dude that gave back the Mona Lisa. You would be like, that sucks to suck. I'm keeping it.
If I was certain that there was other ones, I don't think I would care as much. It's a wig. Like, you don't think there's more than one?
It's true. That's true.
I do.
There's got to be.
Yeah.
My favorite historical hairstyle.
Like Ruby Slippers. Ruby Slippers, there's
Oh
like
yeah, there's
five
a bunch
pairs.
of them. Yeah. My favorite historical hairstyle is the samurai. I like the long hair
Yeah.
with the shave down the middle. I think that looks really.
Dude.
I'm waiting for it to come back.
I went to the Royal Armories in Leeds, which is like the literal museum of every single like holding that they have of every edged weapon that exists from however far back in history until modern times. It's just a fucking 4-story building full of guns and knives
Sick.
and nunchucks and armor and horse armor.
Ooh, I like horse armor. Okay, before we call it, producer Corey, what's your favorite weapon?
Ooh, of all time,
Yes.
a mace.
A good answer. Producer DJ Michael Miguel, what's your favorite weapon?
Either a staff or some nunchucks.
Hell yeah.
I love nunchucks.
Special guest McKenna, what's your favorite weapon?
Probably a katana.
Ooh, a katana's a really good one too.
It's a nice one.
Host Michael Manarino. What is your weapon of choice?
It's a great question. I'm glad you asked it. I think if I had to choose,
Brass knuckles with a knife on the end.
I
had
do
that
like brass
too.
knuckles with a knife on the end.
It was really
Honestly,
cool.
per what I just said, samurai sword.
Yeah.
I forever am a sucker for samurai swords. The samurai swordness of Pulp Fiction has had an effect on me my whole life. And Kill Bill.
Kill
I just
Bill.
like
I
samurai
was like,
swords.
what?
I just want to know like what it feels like to put one in somebody's belly. Hopefully I don't find out.
Go
but-
on Forged in Fire. Make one and then just stick it through a ballistics dummy.
McKenna, I've already got a podcast and I'm doing pottery and I'm tattooing and I have a girlfriend that I like
you
to
don't
cook.
want to forge also?
It's,
12
you know what?
hours a day?
Fuck it. Let's put it on the pile. Let's do it. I'm ready.
I'll add it to your calendar.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Just one forge day a week.
Just one Forge Day a week.
That's
Okay,
it.
perfect. McKenna, you're the sweetest. Thank you for being here.
Of
This has been
course.
so cool. If outside of the breakfast thing, which I want people to go to, if people want to follow you on Instagram, if you can also say don't, how they can follow you on Instagram,
Don't.
how they can be your friend.
I mean, if they don't want to see shit happening. I mean, I guess I've become
your
like a little
Instagram.
bit of a meme poster in the stories.
Yeah.
But my like grid posts are very like, hi, 3 months have passed.
It's okay.
Hello.
Well, so I guess at the end of the day, if you want to hang out with McKenna, either you go to LA Breakfast Club Wednesdays at 7 a.m.
McKenna Ray at anything.
or go to the Academy Museum. Give
Or
them some
that.
bucks so they can give her bucks. To everyone
Or
out there,
don't pay for it. I'll get you in. Don't worry about it.
girl, you're going to be getting some DMs that you regret.
That's dangerous. I'll see you
Try
next
me.
week.
Exactly. I'm going to talk to
Try
you after this
me.
about getting to the Academy Museum for free. Hey,
Try
guys,
it.
do we want to do that as our field trip instead?
I'd prefer.
You will devote.
Okay.
You will devote at
Would.
least 4 hours.
Okay, we'll
Just
do that.
saying.
Our first podcast field trip will be to the Academy Museum on the price of gratis
Yes.
because of McKenna.
There you go.
Hey, guys, it's on me. It's
I like
on
the
me.
way you said that out of the side of your mouth. Gratis.
As if I didn't want McKenna to hear. So she can be like, whoa, you want tickets? No, I'm not getting you guys in for free. Everyone, thank you for listening. This has been so much fun. Just remember out there to be tatted, stay tatted, be good to each other, watch good movies, be sweet, go to museums, don't fuck with the artwork, leave it alone. McKenna, thank you again for being here. You're such a sweetheart. Thank you for the wine. What are we at? How many times have we counted now?
Like 9 or 10.
That's nice.
Incredible. This podcast is produced by wonderful, sweet, sexy producer Corey Dunn, and of course,
Aw.
producer DJ Michael Miguel.
Hi.
Enjoy that tattoo, my guy. It was fun hanging with you today in a non-podcast setting. Our theme song is by Javi. Shout out Javi. Where you at, Javi? I guess that's everything. Everyone have a good night. Thank you. I love you. We'll see you next week. I'm going to tell you how the Wacky Breakfast Club is. All right. Good night, everyone.
night.
Bye. Bye, McKenna. Thank you.